Echo,
We
echo.
are
It
live.
says you're live. All right, let me fix this thing before it starts going crazy. There we go. All right, welcome back to SOS. I'm Stasser MBA.
Zippy.
Hopefully it's going. Just skip that ad. Anyway, all right. Let me see if the comment section's up here. Look at the chat. Live chat.
Yeah, well, we got Lisa, Chris. Hey, Rachel Knight. Hope the baby's good. We got Craig and Jessica, Sergeant James, Vince Dunn, Brian. Hello.
Some messages.
We got
There we
Colton,
go.
Gary,
I think I got
Douglas,
it.
Chris.
Kung flu.
What is up, Ted?
Can you see it okay?
We got John Moku. I
I
don't know if
think
I
you can
said him.
see
I
it.
think I did say yeah,
I think you
Dan.
can see it okay.
Band of the Red Hand. Trust. Those are some tiny prints, man.
I'm sorry. You want me to bring it
Christy.
closer to your
No,
face?
it's fine. I don't think they need an extreme close up of my boogers. Hey,
Gotta sit
Daniel.
back like this.
Super Solis. Jim. Keith. I need some like optics here. And
Oh
I think I
man.
said hi to Gary. Hi, Scooter. Get you some. Ever hear that name, Scooter? Catch you ride.
Vince done.
Yeah.
All right.
Hello, everybody.
Okay.
All you
Hello.
shy typers out there.
Hello everyone. I the title of tonight's live stream is Kong
Kung
Flu
flu.
Hustle. And I'm doing that because I don't know. I find things amusing when
Pause.
I'm not trying to be the jerk face BA that people have grown to love. I guess the jerk face version of me, but I just when
Hey, Travis.
I start seeing these like back to back to back to back. This fear mongering type stuff where it's just constant flow of
Hey, Westwood.
scare the crap out of people who have kids, families, and everything else. And it's all for views. It's all for watch time. It's all for this stuff. And I'm like, dude, you're not doing it for some of these people are not doing it for the benefit to help other people. It's more of a hustle. It's the Kung Flu hustle, man. And a lot of this stuff that it's like a it's like a
Hey,
constant,
Rock.
it's like a constant flow of this stuff just to get some watch time, get some views and things like that. It's kind of, it's just kind of annoying, I guess. But
There's too many
it's
videos.
too many. And I mean, you can go back. I mean, Sippy and I had we've
Hey, Teddy.
covered well, heck, a couple of years ago, I think we covered pandemics, and we did several different videos just covering like pandemic awareness type stuff and things like that, that kind of stuff. And then there's the, oh, whoa, now we're in a, this is it right here. Hurry up, we got to make a video right now because we're in a global pandemic. We've got to do this right now. There has to be a video. We have to jump on it right now. And I'm like, that's you. And they don't have any contribution whatsoever other than just, yeah, and this is what it's going to look like. You're all going to die, your faces are going to melt off, your eyeballs are going to bug out of your head,
It's
and
like opening up the
you're
ark.
thank you, band of the red hand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, buddy.
um,
Much love.
but it's like, you're going to get hit by a car as soon as you get sick and all this other stuff. And the respiratory infections, you're going to get it from your dog, your cat's going to get it. Then all your pets are sick, your gerbil just threw up everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
We do this like fear mongering crazy stuff, right? And it, instead of doing like some sort of like, well, professional. I mean, is anyone? I mean, most of the folks that I talk to, I mean, or I see these videos from, they're not even professionals. They have no degrees, no background at all, zero, zilch, nothing. and they'll put these things out. Well, what you need is no, what you need is some professional advice instead of, listening to somebody talk about how you're going to get sick at the gas pump pumping gas in your car or something. Parell your hand, yo. I mean, um, but the global pandemic thing, I mean, people they take it to like a whole nother level. It's
They take it to like the Black Plague
like the Black Plague or something, man. It's
level.
like, all right. And I did a video a while back. I know you and I were both in the video several months ago where we both discussed how we don't freak out. We just don't freak out, and it's just
Mm-mm.
because you just got to be aware. You just got to pay attention to what you're doing,
Enormity.
and it's kind of goes into general hygiene, taking care of yourself, cleaning up
Mhm.
after yourself, washing,
Wash your hands.
wash your hands.
That's my line.
That is your line, but you tell me all the time. Make sure you wash your hands. You just don't know what you're going to run
The kids will
into.
come up and be like, okay, smell my hands, because they'll be like, do you wash
Yeah.
your hands? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, let me smell them. And I don't smell soap.
Well, we
I
have
can
our
wash
kids.
them again.
We have our kids wash their hands constantly.
So those kids are like, I wash them, smell my hands, smell my hands. I hope they don't go to their teachers and be like, smell my hands, I wash my hands. They're like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with you?
But we start these things off, and there's people out there that start these things off, and they go into what the city looks like after a pandemic. After it starts off with the quarantine city. Okay, we start getting into all this scary freak show stuff where it's like, okay, well, your city just got quarantined, and now you're all, because you're all in a city, you're all stuck there. And when do I bug out from that? And
Hey, Jason.
in situations like that where you think the government's going to come rolling in there with tanks and barricade the whole area, and all this other crap, and the National Guard gets called in, right? It's just like the movies, right? Just like the movies. And they all come up with their, the crazy orange suits or whatever,
Yeah,
or the
they're in
crazy
their
white
like
suits or crazy yellow suits, and
stage 5 hardcore
you know what I
hazmat
mean?
suits. This is outbreak people.
Yeah, it's like Outbreak,
We're
right?
all chilling in the movie theater. And we're
It's
gonna
like
get like the airborne
the
Ebola.
they're all hunting for the freaking monkey, right? The monkey that caused it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing: it's like everybody goes straight to that straight to that nightmare of, well, then they shut off the power, and then this, and then that, and then there's riots, and then there's the store where you got the gangsters running the store, and then they won't let you have anything, and it's quid pro quo. You got to give this for that, and all this crazy stuff right off the bat. And we go from it's a respiratory infection and respiratory sickness type thing, where it's
Mm-hmm.
like a pneumonia type thing, and people are getting sick, and the death toll, where it's like you had SARS. I remember SARS from freaking, well, I think it was like '03. I was in the Asian realm when I was deployed, and seeing folks wearing masks everywhere I went, and everyone looking at me like I had two heads because I didn't have a mask on. Why aren't you wearing an N95? That type of thing. And you know you you go to these countries and you see that type of thing taking place. Their daily lives are still continuing every single day. I mean, you had um I mean, I think the way it is that you start doing, like, we've got travel bans now, and we're quarantining people that come in for like 14 days. And it depends on where you've traveled and all this type of stuff. And if we're doing all this stuff and we're still got cases popping up left and right, and people are, we're looking at the death toll. It's the number of infected, right? You got like, I thought it was just like the other day, it was like 10,000 or something. It was like 9,000, 10,000 ish
Yeah.
in that realm. And then it goes, that's infected numbers. And then you got like the death toll is right at 170 or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. But they're not telling the whole story, because it all goes back to where it came from. where it originated from, and where it originated from was from the fish markets. The
Mhm.
fish markets, the same places that I would pass by while I was deployed, and I would see these fish markets. They were disgusting. Like, I mean, they freaking just kill every single uh, anything in the ocean, anything in the ocean. They kill it. They throw it in baskets and whatever, and it's all sitting out there in the middle of the fish market. And germs, bacteria, all this crazy funky stuff's going on, right? And you got people just walking by, breathing on this stuff, coughing on this stuff, and spreading all kinds of germs into the food, and people are just buying this stuff up. It's like you buy, you want an octopus, like an entire thing, like they'll chop a tentacle off or something and throw it at you. You know, all kinds of weird stuff going on those streets. And that's the kind of stuff that they do out there. It's a different, I mean, it's just a different world versus here. And you start getting everybody freaked out. It's like a global pandemic. It's like, well, look at the people who are traveling in the different locations and where how they're getting it and where they got it from and how they got here. And we're not living in those kind of environments. It's not the same kind of environment. And I think people get just a little bit too worked up over this stuff, and then they do the hustle. They jump in, they do the Kung Flu hustle. This is it. This is what I've been prepping for. This is it right here. I can finally prove why I'm doing all this stuff for so long.
Mhm.
And they can say, well, that's why I live here.
Very true.
That's why I did what I did. That's why I bought all these masks. That's why I bought all these gloves. I got cases of nitrile gloves. I got cases of N95 masks and gas masks. Uh, all these different things. And it's almost like they want people they want something horribly bad to happen so that we can hype it up. We can uh it back in the day we didn't have this much news coverage, right? Back in the day we didn't have this much news coverage. And now it's just 10 times worse. And uh,
Well, the thing is you got to look at who's who are the ones dying, because most cases it's not the severe acute respiratory syndrome. They're just getting the minor fever,
and what about
cough.
ages?
We're not getting reports on who are the ones dying. Are their immune systems very low and bad? Are they the very old? Are they young? They're being very vague on who's dying pretty much in my book. And it's like Westman was just saying, and I was thinking it when I heard this thing coming out. We don't know the exact numbers
Yeah.
anyways. And, it is good to take heed, especially if they're closing off the borders to people
Hmm.
coming in, because we don't want it spreading. Like I've said before, if you go to downtown LA or if you hit Chinatown, it's called tuberculosis town
Yep.
because it just spreads. They just spread it back and forth because unfortunately they're not educated well enough from the public health standpoint that they have to take that full amount of antibiotics. So they keep spreading it and spreading it. So that's just something that you got to be, wary of. I would be definitely rocking masks and gloves if I lived in
Yeah.
a heavy populated area that's known for different cultures, especially traveling in and out of the country.
And those places are pretty bad. And I mean, just looking at some of the small towns now, I mean, even some of these places, the population has jumped through the roof, and you have people that are seriously uneasy all the time. It's kind of like the craziness we were dealing with today, and uh, you don't know where a lot of people have been, and uh,
Thank you, Redneck Pepper.
if they're sick,
Or if your cat's sick.
or if your cat's sick, or your dog got sick. I'm trying to be serious, you know what I mean? I'm trying to be serious, but still
Yes.
trying to be funny at the same time. You got to try and make this, I, I don't like, you guys know me. I don't like to get on and say, oh, you all going to die. I'm not one of those kind of people. You guys have been with me a while. You know better. I'm not like that. That's, I will say that, on the other side of things, being cautious is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Be cautious. if the CDC and if they start,
The
you know,
WHO and
if they've announced it's a global emergency and they're listing this as a global pandemic, don't start seeing this picture of
we thinking Captain
the
Trips.
the the end of the world, or like World War Z or something like that. I think people, people do get to let their imaginations run a little wild, and I don't want to sit here and say, it won't happen, but I guarantee you that if you do start to see the signs, a pattern that they're going to start shutting down, or a possibility that if the numbers and scales of craziness start happening in your city and your state, then it
Mhm.
might be time. That would be the time to leave. And people always ask this question when it comes to like the dog wants to bark at whatever.
It's a cow, I guarantee
It's
you.
probably a cow again. He got in a fight with a bull the other day. It was pretty hilarious. But anyways,
He lost.
he lost. Uh, People always ask the question, when do I leave? Okay, I'm not. We can talk about when are you going to leave, and some people can say, uh, okay, we compare these things to like different types of situations. We compare these things to like war type stuff, or uh,
Hey,
an
Smolla.
emergency where it, we're not talking about you live in Tornado Alley. We're not talking about you live in you live on a fault line or something. Your house is going to collapse into the ground or whatever, and things like that, right? Okay, you don't live in an area where you're going to get hit by a tsunami or something. Okay, this isn't the type of stuff. When we start talking about things like this, when do you leave? And if people are getting sick and falling out,
Be
I know
prepared.
my version of that, and it's not to scare anyone, but it is just to make you think. And my thought is like, all right, for example, like if someone was to be in a major in an environment where they have to control spillways to keep water levels at a certain degree, or a guy has to work at a nuclear facility to keep the reactors running or whatever, and all these types of things, right? These odd types of jobs. Someone that works in the medical field has to show up to work every day and treat patients and things like that, and you start seeing a number decline in people, and
Mhm.
because of sickness, and sickness spreads from one individual to another. Jimmy goes to work, he's an engineer, and he operates certain types of equipment that keeps everything nice and steady in the human machine. The human machine being that everything that runs around us, all of our working parts, okay, everything that makes your day begin and your day end, as far as what you might do for a living, what you might do in your everyday life, what keeps your city running, what keeps your town running. And if for some reason, like say Jimmy happens to be the super important guy, Jimmy gets sick, goes and conversates with the guys. They hit some beers or something. He coughs on everybody and spews his guts out, and everybody else gets sick, and then the whole plant's sick, and then the reactor blows up and it's an atomic explosion or whatever, and the fish, they jump out of the ocean and everybody just goes ah. Anyway,
Well, someone was bringing up a good point about
just trying to be funny there at the end, the seriousness, and then
mhm,
yeah. Anyway,
about when to pull your kids out of school,
that's
and
another good one.
unfortunately, you're kind of at the mercy of the schools calling, especially if the kids are young. They're not going to be able to really tell you too much. Um, you just kind of got to keep an eye out.
That's another thing, is that you have to be careful with pulling your kids out of school,
Like
because you
Clint
can,
Eastwood.
I mean, you could get yourself in trouble keeping your kids out of school too
Hmm.
long.
Especially in the state of
Because
Tennessee, I know like Michigan.
if you did like a week at a time, like, hey, kids, you're not going to school this week. We're going to go to the retreat. If you've got some retreat location, or the BOL, that just the bug out location, does not happen to be anywhere near the site of the problem, and you try to escape that, right? Instead of staying for the extreme quarantine, that like they see in the movies, right? People like to come up with these things, but I'm not the fear monger. But if they did something like that, right? Here come the guys in the yellow suits, or whatever. So if that type of
Yes.
thing happened, you pull your kid out of school for like 5 days or something, somebody going to be calling you. After a few days, they're going to be calling you, and you're going to get yourself in some trouble. Pulling your kids out for so long, and not having any kind of excuse for that.
Mm-hmm.
And if nothing happened, right? If nothing happened, you could get in some serious trouble for it. It depends on where you're at, I'm assuming. I know around here they don't play. You don't want to keep your kids out of school too long. It's gonna set off some alarms, and people are gonna start getting a hold of you.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
From a standpoint, from what I can say, what we've seen at the hospital, we have not really had very many flu outbreaks. It's been a lot of pneumonias and respiratory infections lately. I had one really bad to where like I couldn't stop hacking up green
I
crap,
remember
and
that.
it was in my bronchioles. So it was more of an upper respiratory infection, and my chest burned. It burned bad, and I was like, "Dang it, I'm getting pneumonia. I gotta rest and drink a lot of fluids to get all that mucus out." So luckily, I was able to rest, and I had to truck it moving a bunch of crap, but that kind of
Yeah,
helped get things moving out of my lungs too.
yeah, it wasn't
So,
fun.
but I was surprised this year we have not really had any flu. It's been a lot of respiratory infections. And usually they'll start dying down here about March, April. So I'm kind of curious to see where this is going to go in a couple months.
Yeah, but that goes into another thing too. I mean, if you think that it's that bad, if you if you there are people. I wanted to start this off tonight by saying there are people who are concerned, and then there are people for the people that are not concerned. And for the people that are not concerned, you should listen anyway, right? You should still have the conversation. And there are the people that are extremely concerned, and then they don't want it joked about. They want to take it very
Hey,
seriously.
Abrams.
And I respect that because we still have to take this stuff. Uh, we still have to take stuff like this very seriously because you just don't know. And I mean, this also falls into another category of location, location, location for a lot of people out there.
Mm-hmm.
As some folks don't live in locations that worry about those sorts of things, and some people do. And then that also goes into what are your plans? What are your plans? And do you have a contingency plan for when you don't want to wait until it gets to that point where you end up in one of those scenarios that everybody talks about, where you're the people that are sitting in your home and you've waited too long, and you've waited way too long, and the city's already, certain people have already left, and the people that are still there are stuck with you. And those people are desperate, and uh, those people are trying to do something, do horrible, bad things to you and your family, and try to take what's yours to make it theirs. They're trying to steal your stuff, your food supply, whatever you've got. You don't want to be left in one of those situations that these people put these things in, right?
Well, I think another important thing too is they were saying a lot of the people that were getting sick, of course, were the caretakers.
Yeah.
So, you find your family members down with a fever and they've got mucus coming up, and, they're complaining of like either they're getting that burning in their chest or
Yeah.
they're just so tired all the time. Yes, make sure you wear face shield,
Yeah.
honestly, because some of the patients I've taken care of, like, either they don't give a crap they're coughing in your
Yeah.
face, or they're so sick and out of it that they will cough all over you. And they've had nasty respiratory infections.
That's
So, yeah, just make sure you have a face shield, people. That's the big thing. Is you can wear a mask all day long, but if you don't have your eyeballs covered, that droplet can still get in your eyes. And just wear gloves.
yeah, and don't rub your eyes. Don't ever rub your eyes.
So when
And
you're taking care of somebody, you got to be really careful and get that full on PPE going.
dog had to come into the
I know. And there's the cat.
yeah. We have a couple of face shields, and um, that's
And I was actually the only one that did that.
yeah.
I I grabbed
It's like, why are
our
you wearing
little
face shield?
their little it's a little eye visor flimsy mask, and it's all we had. I actually grabbed those. I grabbed the whole box, and I took it by the earpiece and I hung it outside the door so people would know, do the one with the little visor. Don't just
Yeah.
spray your little N95. That ain't gonna do nothing if it gets in your eyeballs.
Yeah.
So, and those things were going like hotcakes. Of course, anytime I saw like the phlebotomist or somebody going in there to see the patient, I'd say, watch your face, because that
You
person
sick.
will cough all over you.
You sick. Sit.
So
Sit, mister. Sit.
that's the thing that stinks, is when you go into these pandemics, all of a sudden, you're going to run into a lot of things that are going to be out of stock, or the prices are going to get jacked.
Everybody's already starting to stock up on stuff. That was the other thing that I wanted to point out. How people went on a freaking buying spree of stuff. And, if you're on a road trip and you don't want to go uh, cleaning your hands all the time and things like that, you don't have to get crazy with it and start wearing nitrile gloves at every truck stop. Okay, you could just some dang it, just some standard work gloves or something like that. You're going to pump gas in your truck or whatever. Just throw on some gloves. If you just want to be precautious. Okay, I'm not trying to say be a weirdo. I'm just trying to say if you want to be precautious and you're concerned about it, and you're driving through these heavily dense populated areas, and you want to protect yourself from that little slight chance, just put on some gloves, some simple work gloves to do the trick. And if you're wearing a mask, doesn't you're not.
Well, can I take a blowtorch and like heat up everything before
I'm
I
just.
touch it?
You're so funny.
Blowtorch the gas.
I know, right? But I mean, here's the thing. I mean, you could Perel your hands when you get in and out.
Don't
That
get
type
too
of thing.
comfortable with Peril, though.
That's the other thing. It doesn't really always work.
Mm-mm.
And you're going into different public bathrooms and things like that. And uh, you know, when if you're in one of these crazy areas where it starts to get to that point where there's an outrageous number of sickness, then I would definitely consider wearing a mask. And that would be the time I would do it, though, because I mean, there's already people out in public wearing masks now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Oh, there's a lot of people in the hospital that
they're already
wear
wearing masks. They're
They're
already wearing
smart.
masks. But yeah, but it's like, hey, well, I wore a mask the whole time.
If you
It's-
have to come see someone in the hospital, wear a mask.
It's not always about what you look like,
Thank you, Abrams.
Boom!
Appreciate
Big
you,
explosion. Rockets.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Oh man. I think I got that was the main things that I kind of wanted to talk about was the big taking right now we don't have that big picture, okay? But everybody's already kind of jumped to the big picture, okay?
Mhm.
And you go from 0 to 150 miles an hour just like that. And instead of doing that, I mean, we should probably, gradually work our way up through the RPMs and shift range before we start jumping all the way to the end result. What does it look like when the world comes to an end? Teowaki, right? And I just someone who is a
Keep
you-
going on. I'm putting her outside.
are you snatching the cat?
Yeah, she's looking for a place to do her business.
No, she's not.
Yes, she is.
She better not.
See? She wants out.
That's what's good about having a cat that goes outside. So people are always looking for that end result, what it looks like at the end. But if you think about it, it is kind of like so and so gets sick, so and so passes it on to someone else, and then you start seeing short numbers of people. You have people that will come up with any excuse to get out of work if they feel fear. If they feel fear to go to work because they're afraid they're going to get sick by other people because they're in one of those places. It's kind of, what was it, Minnesota or something like that? I heard had a, uh,
Hmm.
I think it was, don't quote me on that, but I thought I saw one tonight. It was Minnesota had a case. But anyway, somewhere had a case, okay. But it was like Minnesota or something like that. And if I might be wrong.
Well, they
So
already had in
I don't
California.
Orange
I thought it was
County,
Michigan.
I'm not sure.
Can't remember. It's like 3 states.
Or Massachusetts, something
Something
like
like
that.
that.
I can't remember. Okay, look, I can't keep track of every single little case I hear about, so I'm just saying. For example, if
Chicago. Yeah.
one of these places and you live there, and it got you worked up, and you go, man, they got it here. It's here. You know, there are going to be some people out there that go, man, it's here right now. What am I going to do? And they'll call into work or whatever. I'm scared right now. I don't want to leave. There's going to be people that do that. And we can't sit here and say that it ain't going to happen. There's always that 1%. There's always that 1%. There's always going to be somebody that's, man, hell with that. I ain't getting sick, and they're going to call in. Uh, they could work in any line of work, but that could cause problems, and the end result. And if you want to get like super crazy in this whole thing and really blow it out of proportion in a whole twisted dimension, if it was extreme and it got extreme, the grid would go down. I mean, that's me taking it to a whole other level. Is that the grid would go down? There's no people. No one's going to run this. No one's going to run that. The human machine stops. The gears stop. Everything quits, and everyone's out of luck. Trucks stop moving. All that stuff. No deliveries are made. So much stuff will just quit because it'll have to. Because so many people that are in the workforce that are out in everyday life fall off. It's just going to happen. But that would be the extreme end result. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's like The Stand,
It's like The Stand.
pretty much.
Anything else? You want to you want to add something else? Something else crazy? Any other topics? Any other topics besides this craziness? The Kung Flu hustle? No.
Well, it's like you said in the name. Just be careful. People who want to hustle and sell products that might not really work.
Well, there's that too, right?
You know.
There's that too.
Um,
People who want to sell you on something that won't
Mhm.
work. That'd be the other thing, right?
yeah.
But it's not. But here's the thing, though. Like, if you think in your preps you need to have a case of N95 mask, if you think that's something you need, then you should get it. And that's just kind of how I look at a lot of folks out there that are into this prepping and survival and all that other stuff related, homesteading / just being a human that's trying to stay alive, whatever you want to call yourself. If you're in that boat and you think I should have a gas mask, well, get yourself an Israeli gas mask with a good filter, and you can go to eBay and get yourself a good filter in case there's a huge explosion pops off in the middle of the night. At least you've got something to wear on your face.
Yeah.
Have yourself a shaving kit with your little outfit there, and you can get some Tyvek suits or something just to have some on standby. You could build yourself a virus kit, a pandemic kit. They make pandemic. I mean, there's plenty of blueprints out there for pandemic kits. You can get yourself a bucket and load it down with all your needed accessories for your pandemic kit if you wanted to go bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not bizarre because, technically, some folks already have a pandemic kit and they don't even know it yet. They happen to have all the general supplies at their fingertips. It's right there around them, and they just didn't know that those were actual items for a pandemic kit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that you could do to prepare for something like that. And it's good to have an individual kit for that particular task. That one type of dog. Seriously,
Oh yeah, it's like you're saying, you don't need to go fancy. It's pretty
no,
simple.
pretty simple.
Gloves,
Yeah,
an
gloves.
95 mask, or just get a face shield.
Yeah,
That's, you know, you don't have to worry about going through dozens and dozens of masks,
yeah,
and hand soap.
yeah. I mean, some good antibacterial soap, and some folks go crazy with the soap. They do the green soap and all this other crazy stuff for
Yeah, you
their.
don't gotta go dunking your hands in
Yeah,
bleach.
you don't have to go dunking your hands in bleach, and sometimes bleach doesn't really do too much, anyways. When it comes to a lot of things, it doesn't kill. Bleach doesn't kill everything. A lot of people think that bleach kills everything, but it doesn't. Plus,
Break my blood, so.
plus, bleach expires. We all know that too. Anyway, what's out there?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Darkness.
Darkness.
Burning.
You should turn dog loose out there. Let him get whatever it is. It could be another coyote.
He'll probably kill a bat with the coronavirus.
Probably.
All day.
What is that? What is that movie again? You're quoting that movie with Matt Damon in it.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, with the
With the
the
butcher
the
that.
butcher that got the blood on his hands.
And he
and
shook her hand, and then she didn't wash her hands. She didn't wash her hands.
She didn't wash her
didn't wash
hands.
his hands.
He didn't wash his hands.
And it spread
Yeah.
like wildfire.
And then here come the guys in the yellow suits. I'm just saying, it happens. And those self-contained breathing apparatuses, those scuba gear, that's scuba. Yeah, man. They come rolling up to your front door and they quarantine you. They quarantine your whole town. They barricade you. They barricade you in. Oh no! They got us. Oh man. Freedom. That's when you got to get out the war paint.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, what was it? Oh boy, it was like Bubba in his truck. Like he like drove through that field and they gunned the truck down. That was in the other movie. That was Outbreak. Remember Outbreak?
Yeah.
Oh boy had like he's like the old Ford truck or something like that. The hell with this? And he like rams the barricade and anyway. Yeah, I watch a lot of TV. I watch movies. Oh man.
Mm-hmm. Start negotiating at 600.
That's right. That's right. Oh man. I leave a sign at my door. This is all you need to know, and you've been negotiated with, and that's it.
Yep.
You come any closer, you're gonna get gut. That's all you need to know. Anyway. Oh.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm just sitting here thinking of other goofy stuff to talk about. It kind of happens sometimes. I'll just start sitting here and I'll just change the subject. You never know what's going to happen.
Beans.
But there's gonna be folks that will. There are suggestions. I mean, if you think something like that's going to happen and you want to get yourself separated from it, then you need to think of that spot now. You need to hurry and figure that out. Because if you think it's going to get that bad and you are concerned, then you need to look at and figure out where that place is going to be if you haven't already. Because I know a lot of us have already have that place figured out. We know where it is, we know where we're going, or where you're staying, right? Or where you're staying. And you got to think about
Worms for the win.
Separating yourself. If you've got refugees and you've got marauders, right? You got people trying to take what's yours. You got people looking for help and things like that. If you wanted to separate yourself from the troubles, then you need to look at that spot and look at the terrain. You need to separate yourself and create distance. You got to have, long, windy country roads or something like that that separates you from that. No one's going to go trying to find this location, walking this far, crossing over rocks, crossing through hot fields or whatever it is, right? There's just certain things, the risk outweigh the rewards. And if the risk outweigh the rewards, no one's going to want to come moving too far down the road to come to that spot you picked out, that retreat, that BOL, that bug out location or whatever it is, or the place that you stay. There's, because there's people that have that option too. I have to cover all the fields here because someone's going to say, well, I live in blah 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 blah, and I ain't got to worry about that problem. You know, oh, all right, you know. So just there's people that will do that. So I like to point that out too. Um, anyway,
How many places we've looked at total? It was I looked at a lot.
it was
Land is very hard to find, more
yeah,
than 5 acres
land
at a
is hard to
decent
find.
price, and then depending on what kind of loan you go through, sure you could buy the land, and then you'd have to kind of wait for somebody to build it
So we use the VA and
or
all
buy a
that.
trailer.
And if you do all that
Yeah,
stuff, then you're limited on your picks and it's
good
for
night, Rhonda.
well for people that haven't bought a house yet and are looking to buy a house. I know a lot of folks I talked to have bought like 30 houses in their lives or something, but there's some people out there have never bought a house before. So, but there's a lot that goes into it, and most people can't afford that money up front. You people have got to dump their whole life savings on the money up front just to get the house they want. So there's a lot that goes into this stuff that people don't talk about. They just say, "Well, I bought a house." Oh, well, cool, and they don't talk about all the little fine details. It's not always easy. It's not that easy. And it's a lot of paperwork.
Mm, thank you.
Anyway,
Yeah, it's just all about location,
yeah,
location.
it's good to get yourself in a spot that's better or help you. You don't have to worry about so much the crowds. I know it was like today or something like that. I had to get. We went into the city, and I mean it's from a major city, and like from every type of little research thing that I've ever done these little things on, where it's like, what is the perfect location, and then they'll name off all these different things you want to avoid, like tornado alley and things like that, right? They'll all start naming off all these things for preppers that, and then it gets into the uh, from a major city being one gas tank away from a major city, right? Everybody will, and a lot of people will agree it's close to that, but you don't have to. It doesn't have to be an entire gas tank. Because I mean, what if you drove a Prius or something? Trying to be funny again. Anyways, you drove it's one of those electric cars. Anyway, just saying.
We locked in a pretty good interest rate, but we caught it when it was low,
Yeah,
because a week later it went up to like almost 4.
yeah, and it did jump, and it jumped quick, and
Mm-hmm.
and I was talking to a prepper buddy that's in the area that uh, was going on about how scarce
Yeah, it
land is right
stinks,
now,
Vince. Mm-hmm.
and it's true. I mean, he said people that he knows is buying land that just to own land, and it, the entire the entire every single acre was useless for just the basics of it was nothing but like freaking gullies and mountains. It's like uh, he said that the lot would only have like one small little place by the roadside that actually had flat land to it, and the rest of it was all unusable terrain, and
That was another
but
problem we ran into, was just trying to find
it was hard to find
decent
usable terrain.
plant. Land. Yep,
Everybody, uh, everything that we looked at, it had some crazy hill, and
it was.
um, dude, it was just nuts. And it's like, yeah, it's great and all, but what about that? It's
Hmm.
like, I don't know, man.
You're at the bottom of a mountain that's getting corroded pretty bad, and those boulders look like they
those
could.
those rocks look like they're coming, man. There's just a lot of places that we looked at where, and sometimes it was just the house overall. It was the fixer upper was like a money pit, and some of these places look like just total money pits.
Hmm.
It's really hard. It's not easy. I mean, uh, I didn't think I'd be talking about locations and stuff, uh, but I mean that is something to look at. I mean, and not everybody's gonna, not everybody's meant to live in certain locations either. That's the other thing, that there's too many folks out there that will say, well, you all need to move to here, X or Y, doesn't matter. I mean, you need to live where you're comfortable.
Hmm. I
It's
honestly wouldn't mind moving to Canada because the land's so pretty, but their gun law sucks,
yeah,
so I will never move to
yeah.
Canada.
That's well, for the longest time, for years, I always kept telling you, I said I'd love to move to Alaska, and it was like before we found out we were going to get this place and be here, you, you were like, it was starting to look pretty dark, like the light at the end of the tunnel was not so great, and we
Hmm.
didn't think we were going to get to this
Contingent,
point.
contingent,
Contingent, contingent,
contingent.
contingent,
Yeah.
and we didn't think we were going to get a place, and we're like,
Mm-mm.
um, she just looks at me and says, you know, I could live in Alaska. You said you would never live in Alaska.
I guess never say never.
It's hilarious. All of a sudden now
Yep.
she wants to go live in Alaska, and I'm like, ah.
No,
And
I'm
then we
good
get
here.
and then we get the phone call. Hey, congratulations! Oh, woo, we got one. Anyway, but it's pretty
Yeah.
funny. You just, I still think about that ever since you told me that you'd live in Alaska. It's like I remember you said you never like it was serious. Never. It's too
It
cold.
takes a hardcore person to live in a crazy place like
Yeah.
Alaska. It's, especially in those 30 days of straight night and day, and
And
dealing with those big old moose and stuff everywhere. Holy cow.
it's it's a lot better now, and being able to take the boy out to shoot, uh, he was really excited. He went through. Uh,
Yeah, those
uh,
winters.
the boy went through 100 rounds,
Um,
100 rounds of ammo, and I don't know. He was just sitting and giggling at me, while I just blew random stuff up. He thought that was pretty hilarious. Never got to see stuff like that, so it was really nice to be able to just go out and just shoot. It was nice, and not have any problems from any direction.
tasty moose.
But
That's funny, Rachel. You had some moose out there while you were in Alaska.
hey, moose is all right.
I've never had it. I
I've
need
had
to go to
moose.
that. There's this one restaurant somewhere up in the Smokies, I think, where they have everything:
Yeah,
moose,
bear.
bear,
Mm-hmm.
everything. You want to try it? They got it.
It's fatty. Bear's
Yeah,
fatty. It's a lot of fattiness.
it's a lot of honey they eat then, huh?
Yeah,
Little fat bears.
you gotta eat them. Gotta eat them blackberries, man. I'm telling you. Yep, true story. Don't get so quiet.
It's too
Awkward silence. They can hear me drink my water. No.
Yeah, I'm kind of a wuss for extreme cold of negative 50 degrees. Mm-mm.
Well,
That reminds me of that movie you had me watch, The Man Who Killed
oh,
Adolf Hitler,
and
then
then
the
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
Yeah. She
I
didn't
looked at
know.
the ending. I'm like, really?
She didn't know the ending
Really?
was so gruesome, and
Really?
with the just the grossness of the ending. She didn't know it was like that. I don't know how many of you have seen the ending of that movie, but um, she she watched the end and she just like
Here
the
come the
kid. Well,
kids.
the kids were there too.
I was like,
That's all I'm gonna say.
really?
I thought it was funny. Boo's like, Boo Bear's like, ew. That was hilarious.
Of course,
Oh
Charlie
man,
didn't care. The boy's like, whatever.
it
Yeah,
was
that's
hilarious.
gross.
It was so nasty. But I forgot about the. I forgot he did that at the end. I didn't know it was supposed to
Oh
be.
yeah, we're gonna garden it up, Abrams. That's for sure. We're getting our compost bins situated.
Yeah, we are still unpacking. We're still putting everything where it goes. I finally figured out most of the stuff that goes to the shop. So I finally got most of that stuff out. I found my welder. That's cool. And all my welding stuff. And that was in a monster box. I didn't even know existed. But I got all that stuff out and started discovering new items I
Avoid Memphis.
thought I lost forever. And I found some shelves. Uh, there was a stash in a corner, and I found this. There were just a bunch of metal shelves, and they're huge. They're like for a factory or something like that. They're just enormous shelves. But I started putting those things together. I just needed some nuts and bolts for them, and I started putting those together today. And those are like floor to ceiling shelves, and you can there's about four. You can do about 4 rows of
Oh no, we still got that TP.
4 rows, probably 4 or 5 gallon containers each. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out how to do this, but I want to organize this shelving system because I found 2 of them and they're freebies, and I want to get them set up and use them for food storage. I'm trying to figure all this stuff out where I'm going to put everything. That's like the main thing is uh, the real estate, like of where you set stuff. So you don't want it to be awkward, but you want there to be some sort of organization so you can get back there and
Awesome, Christy.
we can we can actually do our canned food storage and all this stuff, and nice
Mm-hmm.
organized shelves, and we can do a walkthrough of our food pantry and stuff like that. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's just I got to build it all.
Mm-hmm. Get to
it's,
crack-a-lacking.
it's cool to tell you guys this stuff, and I'm like, and then I got to build it.
Yep, you
So
got a welder, you got, your wood saws and all that. You got no
she's
excuses now, and you got space to do it in.
it's just I gotta I've got one sawhorse. I gotta build another one. Figure that out, and well, it's not much figuring out. I just need to build another sawhorse so I can get to cutting some stuff and measuring. But it's all coming together. It's
Mm-hmm.
just it's taking a long time. I got a pile of stuff. I mean, it's like all this stuff and
All we
tools,
have
and
is time.
it's just a big pile of stuff that needs to find its home, and that's pretty
Mm-hmm.
much what I've been doing the past few days is sifting through it and putting it all back where it goes. And it's like, hey, there's the bin that goes to, and I don't have to carry it in this anymore. I put it over here. It's good to be able to
Cool.
unpack and put stuff where you want it now, because the place we were in before was always temporary. It was always temporary in our
Mm-hmm.
minds. We would never live there forever, and it was always temporary to us.
Yeah.
And we never wanted to make that place that we lived in before home, only because it's just we knew we wouldn't stay there much longer. So we always had to put that part. And it's like, well, when we get a good place, we'll actually unbox all of this stuff. So that's the way we've been living for the past few years. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm right. Yeah. And now you're starting to find stuff. You're starting to unbox things. Now you're like, I finally can put this somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's like all these years, 5 years later, I can finally put this somewhere. It's a trip. She's pulling stuff out of the boxes I've never even seen before.
Well, the first order of business when it comes to animals is we have to get bunnies. We need to build
Bunnies.
a little enclosure for the spring.
I gotta build bunny houses.
Mm-hmm.
I've done this before with the bunnies and the you wanted. I already explained all this stuff, but I didn't want to explain it again. Yeah,
Hey,
because
Chipper.
I'll do a little video building the little bunny cages and stuff with the barriers to keep them from digging their way out and all that stuff.
You got to do the tubing.
Yeah, she wants me to make freaking like
Like a giant hamster
like a
cage
giant
with
hamster. She
tubes.
wants me to build these bunny cages, right? That are like hamster traveling tunnels and stuff. She wants me to do these little tubes so that bunnies can go from one location to another by
Have a tube to the door. That way Ellie can release the bunny back to the.
That's,
I'm sure.
and so I said we need a bunny tube that takes them to the slaughterhouse.
Bunny tube to the slaughterhouse. Nice.
It'll have written on the bunny tube right at the top of it in red Sharpie marker slaughterhouse, and the bunny travels down the hole out the other side, and I'm there with a 22. The slaughterhouse. Oh man, yeah, our girls will be crying. Traumatizing
they'd ever
girls
forgive you.
forever.
Yep.
Daddy built the slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
Get in my belly. Anyway, gotta do that for the chickens too. We'll have a door that says slaughterhouse. I'm just kidding. We're not doing any of that. It is always funny to joke.
Mm-hmm.
People take my jokes way too seriously though. Everybody starts freaking. Is he for real? No, he's not serious. He's not seriously going to do that.
Not yet.
No. Oh boy, I tell you. That's the other thing, smokehouse.
Yeah.
I'm building a freaking smokehouse and making some real jerky. No more freaking just running the dehydrator in the house kind of thing.
Yes.
Now, I've done those, where I've shown you guys the whole
Makes
making
it taste better. Wes.
making uh uh taking ground beef and making jerky out of it, and taking ham and doing jerky and just using the dehydrator. I want to do some different things. I want to do the sun dried stuff. I want to make the air, just in the air type stuff. I want to build some of these types of things so I can leave them sitting out. And then the other thing, I want to build a smokehouse. The smokehouse is definitely a must. They're super easy to make.
Hey, Rusty.
Building a
Thank
smokehouse
you.
is so freaking easy. It is so freaking easy. Well, I mean, it's work, but the thing is the function of a smokehouse is super easy, but got to build it. That's the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know, right? Get busy, man. That's what I was saying. Get busy. Because I was downstairs earlier putting stuff together, and because I've got to get all this stuff put together, and I just stopped for a minute and just go, dang, I feel like I didn't even do anything. Like working for like several hours down there, just most of the day, putting stuff together and putting things back where it goes. And I look around, it's like, well, doesn't look as bad as it did a while ago, And it's going to be time consuming for a while. Folks like, where you been, man? I don't want to talk about it. What are you doing? I don't want to talk about it. It's awful. Too much work. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's it. You guys, gals, I guess I covered it. I guess I complained. Hopefully no one got upset with me. And I just, Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's opinions are like butt hose. Everybody's got one, right?
Yeah.
And the best way of putting it. Uh, I kind of want to give my opinion of that, and it kind of like Sippy says, it's just what's the best way of putting it? You
Mm.
say just uh, aware,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just be aware, keep your eye on it. Don't get yourself in a panic.
Don't panic.
Panic
Don't.
people make stupid
Hmm.
decisions, so
Don't ever panic, and it doesn't
keep
matter.
calm. I love how these like other, shows are always saying, don't, keep calm. And then they're causing people to
Yep.
not be calm
Yeah.
in a panic.
That's the first thing everybody does. It's kind of like it's kind of like in the Marine Corps when you tell a bunch of recruits to go up a hill or something like that. Or the last thing that they heard was "Don't run," and all they heard was "Run." It's like if you say to an entire platoon, "Hey, everyone, we're going to go up this hill. Whatever you do, don't run." All they heard was "Run, run." Pew! Damn it! I said don't run. Anyway, but that's just like don't panic. Panic! Everybody panic! And they start lighting everything on fire. Cars are blowing up.
Go,
Anyway,
go,
go, go,
go. Down
go.
all your antibiotics. It's a
Cut,
virus.
cut everybody off on the road. Run them over. Ah! Hit them with your shopping cart. I need N95 mask and nitrile gloves now. Anyway.
The last Purell.
Oh man. That's the way it is, man. That's the way it is. And
Okay, all y'all need to do is get yourself a big stick, like about 6 feet, and poke people away from you. 6 feet is good. I don't believe in the
if
3 foot
you,
marker. I'm like 6 feet. So get your stick, poke them away.
I
If you
mean, if
need
you,
to add a little prong or a taser at the end, whatever you need, just
yeah,
poke them away.
dude, if you just don't want to wear a mask, then
Get a stick.
just
Grab a stick.
have a staff meeting. Just
Javelin.
whack people in the
Staff
face.
meeting.
Staff meeting. Staff
Staff
meeting.
meeting.
Ellie still does that.
To the poor dog. Poor bandit.
She goes running in here.
With a
Staff meeting.
stick.
Staff meeting. Staff meeting.
She just
Anyway.
grabs a stick and starts hitting bandits. Staff meeting, staff meeting. She needs to stop watching Teen Titans.
She really does need to stop watching those cartoons.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh my goodness. But yes, there you go. I'm gonna patent that idea. The sippy stick.
The sippy stick, to keep the distance stick.
That's right.
And you should like put some words down it. Keep your distance. Anyway, don't get me sick stick.
Yeah.
Don't get me sick stick. The sick stick. Yeah, that's right. The sicklet stick. It's
Yeah.
got to be something crazy and catchy.
Something. Yeah.
Anyway, all right, you guys don't catch worms.
Yeah.
Don't get sick, and
Don't drink Corona.
keep your head up. If you need a plan, make a plan. Hurry up,
Yeah.
and that's it. I guess that's all I got.
Yeah.
All right. God bless you guys, and thank you for coming and hanging out with us. I really
Thank you for
appreciate it.
joining us.
And that's all I got. Take care.
God bless. Stay safe.